When did political correctness really take over logic and making a difference? Because right now I see people that will use a wrong word. They will be seized upon, canceled, whatever the term might be for that given time. It may have been a poor choice of words. It might have been a one-off situation that does not reflect their entire life. Their entire life might be in category A. This incident of political incorrectness is category B, and it's a one-off, but it's like, gotcha. So they're seized upon, and the mob mentality takes over, and it's like, okay, we got one. It seems like that's the mentality that a lot of people embrace today, and I think a lot of good people are swept to the side because of that.
Well, when television took politics into everybody's home and it became immediate, that was the beginning of cancel culture. And now with social media, which we have not addressed, the fact that negative tweets are so much more likely to be shared than positive ones, or negative postings on Facebook are more memorable than positive ones. With television, it meant that a mistake that was committed in Seattle would now be seen in Orlando and Tampa. With social media, it meant that the mistake that was made at 9 a.m. will go around the world by 12 noon. Unfortunately, technology does not go backward, it goes forward. It has been the greatest democratizer of any aspect of this conversation. And people just simply need to be more careful. But I think that we've lost the ability to forgive. We've lost that goodness in our heart to give people a second and third chance. We've lost empathy. And that is very recent. That's over the last 5 years. We now make fun of people because someone like me who doesn't enunciate as well as I used to, or people who think more slowly than others, or people who have a more graphic communication. We want to own people in our commentary. And that is over the last 5 years. And once again, you can't put the genie back in the bottle. This is not getting any better. It's getting worse. And Dr. Phil, what your show does and what you do is to allow people to improve without killing them. And that's what makes you unique. Because now there are people who are trying to kill Will Smith. No, I don't want to cancel him. All I want from Will Smith is to do some sort of podcast. In fact, you need to do it. I'm going to give you a good piece of advice for society, not just for you. Get Will Smith on this and ask him what message is he sending his own children by getting up and slapping Chris Rock for saying something ridiculous about his wife. What message does that send to young men across the country today that you commit a violent act because you didn't like a joke? He needs you, and you through your platform can make a difference for him. I think this has to happen.
You know, I spoke about Will Smith on the program, and I had 2 black lawyers on that had a position about Will Smith and Jussie Smollett. And I actually had some staff members that were saying, well, should an old white guy be talking about this at all? So I went ahead with the show. At the end, the black lawyer said, wow, you took him to task and you showed the steps of this and what he did, but you were amazingly empathetic about what he did and what he should do now. I'm really glad we came on here and talked about this, because you condemn the behavior but not the man. I hope the rest of the world takes that approach. And that's what I mean. I know Will Smith. I don't know him really well, but that was a one-off behavior for him. Does he have an ego? Of course he does. You can't do what he does and not be, somewhat narcissistic, somewhat egotistical. You can't do the things that he does and not be out in front of people like that and not have some of those traits and characteristics. But that's not who he is. That's one thing he did one time.
If you help him, you're helping millions of young men like it. We can't just look away anymore. So you say to me, I can't give up. Or you say to me, I got to continue to do this work. I say to you, because you matter. You touch hearts and minds across the country every single week. You have the credibility that none of us have. If you do this, if you make that difference with him, then young men are going to die because of what he did. They're going to act out exactly his behavior. His own son says, this is how we do it. If you get him to address this, to talk about it, you will save lives, you will make a difference, and you will help him on his road to recovery.
Well, I would certainly sit down and talk to him. I'm afraid he has surrounded himself with people that don't want him to be accountable. You talk about words and the power of language and understand it better than anybody. And there's one word that I looked at in the things that he said, and the word was but. When I hear somebody say but, to me that means forget everything I just said. I'm now going to tell you what I really think. And in his apology, he was saying, this wasn't right. I shouldn't have done that. But somebody said something about my wife, and, I can only take so much. Well, A, she's not a civilian, but when he says but, that means I kind of apologize, but now I'm going to tell you what I really think. And in his apology to Chris Rock, he said the same thing. I'm sorry, shouldn't have done that, but, and I always wonder, of course, he didn't write all of that. Somebody wrote it for him, but they put that big red flag in the middle of it. And so I wonder if it's still being processed, and I would love to help him process that for real. And I also know that, he's got a lot of trauma in his early life that certainly can come to bear in the moment. But language is a powerful, powerful thing. And I think what he says and does at this point is going to be really important for a lot of young men that watch and admire him.
And I got one word for you, which is the word reconciliation, which I wish we'd focused on after our own Civil War back 170, 180 years ago. Reconstruction means that you are tearing things down to rebuild them. Reconciliation is about coming together. And it's the word and the value that I seek to bring to everything that I do. People know me, if they do, as someone who's right of center. It's not whether we're liberal or conservative or progressive or libertarian. It's that reconciliation to find that good in someone or something that allows us to move forward together. And I think that we're missing that whole point as a society.
You talked about 21 really powerful words, and in there you use that kind of language: renew, revitalize, rejuvenate, restore, rekindle, reinvent. You put together that litany of words in number 11, but at number 1, you had imagine and inspire. You can still imagine and inspire things turning around, right? You haven't completely lost that. You're not that pessimistic, are you?
No, but I'm not that far away from it. And I know what I imagine. I imagine great conversations with amazing people where I walk away thinking, when this interview is done, I have to go deal with some medical stuff. And the entire way from here to that appointment, I will be imagining whether I communicated as effectively as I could. I will be regretting the things that I forgot to say. I will be so appreciative of this opportunity and, frankly, of how amazing you are. That imagine for me is how to be the best. And this is my lesson to everyone listening. How can you do it better? Imagine life at perfection. How do you get there? If you can't imagine it, you can't do it. And allow yourself to make mistakes. Allow yourself not to be perfect, but learn from it so that the next opportunity you have, you do it better and you have a no regrets life. I realize as I'm talking to you that I apply your strategies to politics and to business and to sports and to media. And I wish that more people could see that all that they have learned applies to every aspect of their life. And that every day they should apologize to one person and every day they should thank one person. Apologize because we're not perfect and thanks because we're grateful for what we have. That's what I imagine. That to me is a decent life.
And that's a place to start, right?
It's a place to start and a place to end. It works both ways. It's like the word shalom. It means hello and it means goodbye. I want to wake up in the morning believing that I'm going to make a meaningful, measurable difference. And I want to go to sleep at night having done that in general and having done that for other people. And these aren't just words. This is how I live my life. Yesterday, I want to address the conflict in the Middle East. I want Israelis and Palestinians to find a way to live in peace side by side. I know it's impossible, and I probably shouldn't try to tackle it, but I do, because I can't stand the conflict. I want the left and the right in America to figure out a way to stop tearing each other apart. So I guess I try to do in politics and in global affairs exactly what you do every single day in your life.
Well, and you do that, and you're really good at that. You've visited a number of countries on behalf of the State Department because you have the ability to bring people to the table, to bring people to a point of having a constructive dialogue. You have to keep imagining to inspire people. Honest to tell you, you don't have the right to quit at this point. I'm sorry, but you just don't. We'll talk about that more, but you can't quit. There's too much to do.